Hey everyone, welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Glad to be here.
Today we're diving into a topic that I think a lot of us can relate to, particularly those of you out there who are leading teams.
hmm
We're looking at Ahmad Lodi's blog post, The Struggling Manager's Dilemma, and it really got me thinking about this idea of walking a tightrope as a leader,
Yeah,
trying to keep your team happy while also promising the world to your clients.
right. It's this constant pressure to please everyone, and Lodi really nails it when he talks about the insecurity that can drive this behavior, especially for new managers.
It's like you're desperate to prove yourself, so you end up over-promising, over-committing just
hmm
to get that validation.
Exactly, and he calls it the insecurity trap. This the need to be seen as good enough, capable enough.
And it makes sense, right?
Yeah,
You want to be liked, you want to be respected, you want to be the one who can deliver it all.
but the problem is that that kind of approach is ultimately unsustainable. You can't keep everyone happy all the time, and when those cracks start to show and those promises start to fall apart, well, that's when things get really messy.
Yeah, it's like a house of cards, isn't it? You build this facade of having it all together,
Yeah.
but it's all based on this shaky foundation.
And the damage goes beyond just, people not believing what you say. It erodes trust, it undermines your credibility, and once that's gone, it's incredibly difficult to rebuild.
Now, have you ever been in that situation where you felt that pressure to overpromise, maybe to avoid a tough conversation or to just make someone happy in the moment?
Oh, absolutely. I think we've all been there at some point. It's this fear of confrontation, this desire to be the good guy.
But Lodi makes this really interesting point that true leadership isn't about avoiding those tough situations. It's
Mhm.
actually about confronting them head on.
He has this great quote where he says, "Leadership isn't about avoiding hard truths, it's about standing firm in them."
I love that. So
Hmm.
instead of this precarious tightrope walk, what if we thought about leadership as building a solid bridge?
Ooh, I like that analogy.
Yeah, so if this constant need for approval is the wrong path, what does the right path look like?
Yeah.
How do we move from this wobbly tightrope to something more stable, more authentic?
Well, Lodi calls it the path forward, authenticity over approval. And it's about recognizing that trying to please everyone doesn't actually make you a good leader, it makes you an unreliable one.
So it's not about saying yes to everything. It's about being honest about what's possible, about what you can realistically deliver.
Exactly. It's about having those sometimes difficult conversations with your team and your clients, setting clear expectations, and building trust through transparency.
It's about saying, okay, here's the situation, here are the challenges, and here's how we're going to tackle them together.
Right. And that approach might not make everyone happy in the short term, but it's the key to creating a sustainable and impactful leadership journey.
It makes a lot of sense. But I'm thinking about all the folks out there who are listening who might be new to leadership or even seasoned leaders who are struggling with this dilemma of trying to please everyone.
Mm.
How do you actually start embodying this more authentic leadership style? Where do you begin?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it really starts with a shift in mindset. It's not about fitting into some predefined mold of what a leader should be. It's about bringing your whole self to the role,
Yeah.
imperfections and all.
So it's about self-awareness, right? Understanding your own strengths, your weaknesses, your values.
Exactly. And it's also about being honest with those around you, about the challenges you're facing, about the things you're not sure about.
It's about building that bridge of trust we were talking about earlier.
Right, because when you lead with authenticity, when you're genuine and transparent, you create a foundation for success that benefits everyone.
So instead of trying to be all things to all people, you're focusing on being your best self and leading from a place of integrity.
And that's a powerful message.
It's a journey, and it won't always be easy, but it's the path towards becoming the leader you truly deserve to be.
Couldn't agree more. It's about being upfront, you
Yeah.
know, both with your team and your clients. Lodi actually gives some specific language that you can use.
Oh, really?
Like imagine saying to your team, "Hey guys, this is what the client needs and it's going to be tough, but I'm here to support you every step of the way."
Yeah, so it's acknowledging the difficulty, but also reinforcing that sense of teamwork.
Exactly. And then when you're talking to the client, it's about setting those realistic expectations right from the start.
So instead of overpromising, you're saying.
You're saying something like, "We are absolutely committed to delivering on this, but let's be upfront about what's achievable given the time frame and the resources we have."
It's so interesting how that approach really shifts the dynamic. You're not dictating, you're collaborating.
Yeah, you're inviting them into the process, both your team and your clients. It's about building that trust through transparency, through honesty.
So, okay, we've talked about the why and the what of authentic leadership. But for those of you listening who are thinking, Okay, this all sounds great, but how do I actually do this?
Yeah.
What are some concrete steps that someone can take to start embodying this style?
Well, it starts with self-awareness,
Mm.
right? Taking the time to really understand your strengths, your weaknesses, your values, what's important to you as a leader.
Yeah, if you don't know who you are, how
Yeah.
can you possibly lead authentically?
Exactly. And part of that self-awareness is acknowledging those insecurities we were talking about earlier, you know?
The ones that drive us to overpromise to people pleaser.
Right. If you find yourself constantly seeking approval or shying away from difficult conversations, well, it might be time to dig a little deeper and figure out what's driving that behavior.
So instead of relying on external validation, you're shifting the focus inward.
Exactly. But, self-awareness is only part of the equation.
Mhm.
It's also about taking action, about actively working to develop your skills and your knowledge.
So it's about personal growth.
Yeah, constantly striving to become the best leader you can be. And that often means stepping outside of your comfort zone, taking risks.
But isn't that kind of scary? Especially if you're already struggling with self-doubt.
It can be. But remember, true leadership isn't about playing it safe. It's about having the courage to make those tough decisions, even when you're not entirely sure of the outcome.
It's about embracing the uncertainty, the discomfort.
Exactly. And it's about being open to feedback, both positive and negative.
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Are you creating a space where your team feels comfortable sharing their perspectives, even if it means disagreeing with you?
Because remember, it's not about being right all the time. It's about being open to different ideas, to different ways of doing things,
It's about fostering that collaborative environment where everyone feels valued.
and where mistakes are seen as opportunities for learning, not as failures.
Because, let's face it, we all make mistakes. It's part of being human.
It's how we handle those mistakes that really matters.
Do we try to hide them, or do we own them, learn from them, and move forward?
It's a good question for everyone to ask themselves. How do you approach mistakes, both your own and those of your team?
It's in those moments, those challenges, that your true leadership style really emerges.
And that style ultimately shapes the impact you have on the people around you.
It's about building that bridge of trust and authenticity that we keep coming back to.
Because when you lead with integrity and compassion, you create a foundation for success that benefits everyone.
What a fantastic way to sum up this conversation. It's a team effort, isn't it?
It is. It takes all of us working together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So much of what we've been talking about comes down to communication,
Hmm.
to really listening to your team, understanding their needs and their concerns.
And creating that space where they feel comfortable speaking up, where they feel valued.
Because that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not just about getting the job done, it's about the people.
It's about empowering those around you, inspiring them to be their best.
And creating an environment where everyone feels supported and respected.
That's what true leadership is all about.
It's not about having all the answers or being the loudest voice in the room. It's about,
It's about fostering that sense of shared purpose, that sense of community.
I love that.
Huh.
So we've talked a lot about the struggling manager's dilemma and this tendency to seek approval, even if it means compromising your integrity.
Right. But we've also explored some really powerful alternatives.
Ways to shift that mindset, to embrace authenticity and build trust.
And ultimately to become the kind of leader that people want to follow.
The kind of leader that makes a real difference.
So let's ditch that tightrope.
Yeah, let's build that bridge.
Let's lead with compassion, with integrity, with a genuine desire to make the world a better place.
And remember, it's a journey. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to not have all the answers.
The important thing is to keep learning, keep growing, keep striving to be the best leader you can be.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for us.
Yeah, I think so too. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive, everyone.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, keep diving, keep exploring, and keep leading with heart.